What's up, guys? Blade Master here, back again with some more Total War Attila online action. This is another tournament battle from the new era tournament. Surprise, surprise. Ooh, looks. Bambi! Where are you going, Bambi? This is round one, game one, part of Total War Online TV. This is Pine89 fighting against Achilles, two pretty well known players. And Pine89 has taken the Saxons or Sassoni, and Achilles has taken the Ostrogothi or Ostrogoths. So Pine89 seems to have brought a very OP Saxon build. I'm not talking about OP as an overpowered, I'm talking about OP as an overpriced. 6 heroic cavalry, some of the most overpriced units, I would say. They cost like 875 talents or something. And I mean, their stats are decent. Their stats are definitely decent. But when you have access, as these guys do, I believe, to the... Or no, I think the Saxons only have access to Nordic Horse Lords. I have a feeling that's the situation with the Saxons. I'm gonna have to get back to you guys on that. But compared to Germanic horsemen, which of course the Ostrogoths, any Ostrogothic army will bring, they just do not have the cost effectiveness required from a unit that costs so much. 54 melee attack, 52 melee damage seem decent on paper, but compared to the Germanic horsemen, it's just not that great. They do not have access to scare. And their health is just about comparable to Germanic horsemen. But the thing is, the Germanic horsemen have 53 armor, whereas these guys only have 45. The melee defense is slightly higher for these guys otherwise, though. But their morale is decent, and they have access to 2 precursor javelins, which is decent. Those are all pretty decent stats. But I mean, I believe the Saxons either have access to... they have Nordic warlords, so they have access to the Nordic horse lords, which I would definitely bring over these guys, because those guys have the scare ability, which is very good when dealing with a high strength but low morale unit like the Germanic horsemen. So a total of 6 heroic cavalry, a couple of Nordic levy, and 6 Hearthguard, a couple of Saxon lancers, and 1 Nordic warlord general for Pine89. Meanwhile, Achilles has gone with a much stronger, I would say, Ostrogothic build with 3 Germanic pikes, a couple of Germanic crossbows, and 1 Germanic bows. Okay, total of 4 Gothic warband and 6 Germanic horse, with 1 noble Germanic horse and 1 Gothic general unit. Gothic general is a very nice general. Since they aren't the shock cavalry, they are the melee cavalry general, and they have access to pretty decent melee defense. Health is very nice. I think the Royal Sciones are a better general, though. Just in, I mean, if we're comparing both of them, but these are a very good unit. In terms of the build quality, I would say 6 on 10 for Pine89. And probably like a 7 on 10 for Achilles. I think Achilles has the upper hand, but he needs to use these crossbowmen effectively. And Pine89 seems to be giving him plenty of opportunity to use them, because he's just rushing in with the Saxon lancers. They'll probably take quite a few casualties from the Germanic crossbows. It's not like they're going to do too much anyways. But in terms of cavalry numbers, both of them have the same amount of cavalry, but the 2 Saxon lancers are going to be kind of a disappointment, I predict, for Pine89. It's going to be tough to make them worthwhile. And... but I mean, shock cavalry can do well against the Gothic warband for sure. They can destroy Gothic warband in one charge, but so can any other melee cavalry. But that's just getting into the unbalanced aspects of Total War Attila, which many people vehemently disagree with. Oh no, it's not unbalanced. Yeah, except that you can't use like 90% of the units there. Saxon lances here getting slaughtered by Germanic crossbowmen. They're going to charge into the Germanic horsemen, and they will get completely slaughtered by the Germanic horsemen. The Germanic horsemen, though, they'll probably take quite a few casualties. It looks like they're taking a decent number of casualties just off the charge. But ultimately, Saxon lance is proving cost ineffective. Meanwhile, the other flank hasn't engaged yet. But the heroic cavalry will actually do very well against the Germanic horsemen once the charge has been dissipated. Even with the precursor javelins, these guys got a lot of kills, I think, on the Germanic horsemen. Gothic warband taking some impact damage from the heroic cavalry, and here heroic cavalry charging into noble Germanic horsemen. I think that's going to be a very even fight, but the heroic cavalry will probably be able to win out. But this is a big problem here. Meanwhile, actually, the heroic cavalry charging into Germanic horsemen, I think Achilles got a counter charge right at the last second. The Saxon lance is going to get charged at by Germanic horsemen. Here, the Germanic horsemen are going to charge into the Gothic warband, which is terrible for the Saxons and for Pine89. Here, Gothic general getting a great charge onto the Hearthguard. Very, very bad for Pine89 right now. The Nordic levy can come in to charge in and support, though. And here the Germanic horsemen should be able to pull out. after charging into the Harad guard, but the Nordic Levy are too close, I think. Here, Germanic Horseman dying. Germanic Horseman also starting to waver. The flaming shot from the Germanic bows and Germanic crossbowmen is actually not doing is actually being completely counterintuitive, and the high morale of the heroic cavalry is going to pay off over there. Saxon Lancers proving to be a massive disappointment as I predicted. The Gothic General getting second charge onto the Hearthguard. Hearthguard are not going to do too well against Gothic Warband as well. The Nordic Levy need to come into support, and if they can, then that could be a pretty big game changer. But as for the right flank for Achilles, he's not going to do well now that the Nordic Levy can come into charge. That was the big mistake that he made. He charged into the Hearthguard, but the Nordic Levy were left unopposed, and they'd probably be able to do a bit more damage than the Hearthguard, considering the Hearthguard themselves are not very good in terms of aggressiveness. The Saxon Lancers are going to charge into the Gothic General and hold them up so that the Nordic Levy can get more kills on them, which is very good for Pine 89. The Gothic General for Achilles is starting to die very quickly here. Germanic Horsemen also dying to Heroic Cavalry. Heroic Cavalry taken only 20 casualties so far, proving to be a pretty decent investment. Noble Germanic Horsemen also starting to waver because of the timely spear support. Pine 89 has done very well in just sticking to the basics. Meanwhile, Germanic Crossbowmen starting to get some kills, but proving to be kind of a disappointment for Achilles. That said, a lot of their ammo has not been used, and the Heroic Cavalry are basically destroyed. As long as they can focus on the Heroic Cavalry, kill off the mobility of Pine 89, then he should be in decent shape. The pikes are relatively unopposed, but they are starting to waver. And all across the board here, Achilles' general has died because of the Nordic Levy coming to support. Wow, first time we've seen spearmen being used effectively in this tournament, I would dare say. And the Germanic crossbowmen, on the other hand, just completely underutilized by Achilles. They were obstructed for 90% of the match, and now that they're unopposed, they're probably going to get some good kills, but it's just too little, too late. That's usually the case for crossbowmen. You need to be very defensive with your army in general if you're going to try and use the crossbowmen and their increased amount of ammunition. 23 kills with these guys, 63 kills with these guys, but it's just not going to be enough. The Heroic Cavalry are far too great in numbers and strength to be hindered by a couple of lowly crossbows. Here though, Pine 89 just charging straight into the front of the pikes, giving Achilles a glimmer of hope as he tries to desperately pull this game back into his favor, but it just doesn't look like it. Hearthguard going to charge in. Crossbows getting a great number of kills on those Heroic Cavalry. Their lack of armor is going to prove to be quite a detriment to them. Hearthguard charging into the front of pikes. The poor morale of pikes is going to come into play here, and since they got rear charged by Heroic Cavalry a couple seconds earlier, they're going to break and rout. Close victory to Pine 89. The overpriced army for Pine 89 proving to be not so overpriced at the end of the day. The Nordic Warlord didn't do too much. Nordic Levy did very well. The Spears did very well for Pine 89, and well played to him for using his spears well. That's like the first that we've seen in this tournament. Heroic Cavalry also not proving to be that much of a disappointment. They got clean charges onto the Germanic Horse, but so did the Germanic Horse. I mean, they got clean charges onto them. But the only difference was the Gothic Warband were a bit late in supporting the Cav battle as compared to the Nordic Levy and the Hearthguard. And the Gothic General, despite getting a lot of kills, kind of got caught in the middle of the game, and that was what really proved to be Achilles' downfall. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like to bring one of those generals, except for Royal Scionis. Royal Scionis, you can't really go wrong with them because they're just so tanky. But yeah, well played to well played to Pine 89, well played to Achilles too. It was quite a close match, despite it saying close victory and not Pyrrhic victory. I think it was a pretty close match. Could have gone either way had Achilles managed to keep his general more close to him. Maybe should have just used him to fight in the cav battle, but these are a sword unit, so they don't have any bonus for his cavalry. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for more. Peace.